Hello guys, in today's video I want to touch upon one important topic, that is environment variable and the config map. So in the most of the project we have a variable. There are certain value that we want to inject while working in the project. For example, if you look at my Iron Fist project, in this one I am using many of the environment variable, and depending on the requirement I may have to change the value. For example, if I want to change the value of the risk management property from true to false, so I should be able to change this value externally, and for that one Kubernetes provides a way to inject the value through the environment variable. I already have a one manifest file, so I will reuse the same file. Let me give the name Kubernetes env deployment, and I have this value. Let me remove this. Okay, and if you look at it, I've got some environment variable into the manifest file of the Iron Fist and some more environment variable into URL Iron Fist, right? So I want to use this value. Let's say I want to use this Spring application name, and I want to use this as an environment variable into my manifest file. So how can I use that? So in a Kubernetes, you can define environment variable with env and then indent at the same level as the images and everything. You just indent it over here. Then you indent two space inside and then you give the name. Okay, and what is the name of the environment variable for the Iron Fist? I want to use this name, right? So I give that name, but we need to be careful that we cannot use the same name here. When we want to use the environment variable into manifest file, we need to capitalize. So Spring, and all the dots will get replaced with the underscore, application and name. So this is the name of the environment variable, and what is the value, and I will use the same name. I don't want to change it, just to show you that we also can use this as an environment variable. So I use it here, and similarly what I'll do it is in a Red Hood as well. I will update is, and the name of the environment variable, it is same as this one. Okay, and the value is a Red Hood. Okay, so this is how we can give the name to the environment variable. So this is applicable for any environment variable. Let us do it for one more environment variable. Here I have got this environment variable, and as it is a list, I need to give it like this, right? The value is like this, and I will just double quote it, and again URL underscore red underscore hood, and similarly in a Red Hood as well I have got an environment variable. So what I'll do is I'll give a name here, and this is my value, and double quote it, and URL name capitalize iron yes. So here you have to be careful. See, here it is a dash, right? So if it is a dash, we have to use like a dash. Okay, so it is not underscore here. So here, if it is a dash, we have to use like a dash. So here, why intentionally I have used a dash at one place. So here it is a dash. That is why we have to use like this. And now if I run it, kubectl apply -f k8s env, and it got created. Kubectl get pods, kubectl get pods, and both pods are running. So let us go back into the Postman and try to check it. Okay, so I should be able to call APIs as it is, right? So there is no change in API calling, but now we have introduced the environment variable. Also, I have got a actuator, right? In this one, I see a shutdown, right? See here, there is a shutdown. So let me externally, I update this environment variable to false. So I should not be able to see this value. So let me go back to the Eclipse. Let me update the value here to I have got a one environment variable management, right? So I'll take this environment variable. I will externalize. Okay, the value is true, but let me make it to false, and I need to capitalize shut down. I hope I did not make a mistake in the name. So let me stop these pods. Kubectl delete and kubectl get pods. So there is no more pod. So let me apply again and kubectl get pods. So it is still creating. Now it is created. Let's go back to the Postman and let me try to hit this API one more time. And now see this endpoint is gone because I said that I want to disable the management endpoint shutdown. So this is how we can externalize the environment variable. There is another way we can externalize the configuration variable, and that is called the ConfigMap. So ConfigMap is one type of object, like the way we have got a deployment object and we have got a service object. So similarly, we also can create the config map, and the process for creating the config map is also very similar. We have to provide the API version, kind, metadata, and some more information. So let us try to create the config map. What we will do is we will create the config map right in the same file. So the way we create more object is by adding three dashes. So what I'll do is I'll add three dashes here, and here I want to create the config map. So what I need to do is I need to add some metadata in the beginning. Here the API version. The API version for this config map I need to use as a V1. So current version for API for the config map is V1. You can get a latest version from the Kubernetes documentation. Then I need to give the config map name of the kind. So this is the kind that defines that okay, this is the config map, and what it does is it creates the map of the configurations. By name itself it suggests that It is a map of the configuration. So when we create the map, it is a key value pair, right? So similarly for this one also I need to give the name like we had done for the deployment. So we are giving the name. Then some metadata. I want to give the name as map Avengers config map. Okay. Then for the deployment object, we were using deployment, and also for the service, we were using the specs, right? But in this case, not we will not use the spec, but we will use the data at same indentation as the kind and the API version and metadata, and then you indent two space inside, and then you provide your property name. Let's say for in this case my property name is URL Red Hood, right? So I give the name URL Red Hood here. Let me give that. Let me give some other name. Let's say I want to remove this. I can give any name that I like. So I will give like this URL Red Hood and then colon and the value. So this is the key value pair, right? Similarly, I have got another one, right? I will also use that over here, and let's say I also change like this. Okay, now this is my another config map, and also let me use this management endpoint as well, right? I'll give only the name as shutdown enable. Okay, and the value is true. So you need to be careful with the booleans. Generally in a config map it doesn't like the boolean as this. It needs to be wrapped inside the string. So now I have got three values: URL Red Hood, URL Iron Fist, and shutdown enable. And I want to use these config map values into my deployment object. So let us see how we can do it. Now let us see how we will use this config map in a pod. So here is my key and the value, right? So the variable name will remain same, that is URL Red Hood, and we have capitalized. So this will not change, but the way we are using this value will change. So instead of the value, we have to say value from. Now this has to be removed, and then we need to indent two space further, and then we have to say config map key ref. Okay, and then we have to say key name and the key. The name is the name of the config map. Okay, and the key is the key that we have used, and key is URL Red Hood. So the key is right here like this. Similarly, we will do it for here in the management endpoint shutdown as well. So value from, we just remove it from here, and then config map key reference, then name and the key. Okay, and the name is same as, because this is the name of the config map, and we have created a common config map for all the properties, right? And this is the enable shutdown, that is true. Okay, in the previous one we had shutdown as a false. Now it is again we are setting it to true. Now we have got all the values been set, and now let us try to run this. So let me clear this, and then let me just stop the previous kubectl delete -f k8s env. So the previous ones are stopped. Okay, they did not find the config map in this one, that is why it said could not find it, but we have created a new file here, so that is why it is saying like that, but that should be okay. Okay, so let me just clear it, and now let me reapply it. Okay, so it has created a config map as well, right? And let us try to run this now with the Postman. Let me go to the Postman, and as it was working for these APIs, and now also it is working, but now the values are coming from the config map. Now let me see the actuator. I should be able to see the shutdown, and now we are able to see the shutdown because we have enabled one more time. So this is how we can use the config map. So further, let us see some more details. For example, I can get the detail about the config map. So kubectl get config map, right? So the way we were getting value for the deployment and service and pods, same thing, kubectl get. And now we want to get the detail about the config map. I want to get more detail about that config map. What are the variables in this one? So I can get it kubectl describe config map. Here it is maps, right? When we do the get, it is a maps like deployments, services, same thing as a config maps. And then when we want to get more detail about that, we want to describe, we say describe and the config map, and then the value, that is this. I'll copy paste, and if I see, let me zoom it further, I should be able to see this is the value. Let me CLS. Okay, let me do it one more time. So it is in the default. Name is the Avenger config map. Label, I did not give any label. I did not give any annotation. Then data. In the data, shutdown. This is the map name, right? Shutdown and the value. And another one, URL Red Hood and the value. Similarly, URL Iron Fist and the value, and the URL Red Hood and the value. So this is how we can fetch the values, and we can get the detail about the config map as well. So we are successfully be able to create the config map and use that config map in our pod description. So this is all about the environment variable and the config map. I hope you enjoy the video, and thank you very much for watching this video.